This is Guy Martin, part-time world-famous motorcycle racer and full-time lorry mechanic.
She's not looking pretty.
Inspired by Britain's noble history of engineering, Guy and his best mate Maeve are scouring the country for the best inventions of the Industrial Revolution to kit out Reckless, their aptly named narrowboat.
We should be proud of being British, and I think people need to know, don't they?
They've already brewed tea.
Cheers, young man.
Cheers, bro.
In a homemade iron pot, built a steam-powered shower, and made their own sheets and a mattress.
Look at that.
This week they'll make their own cutlery, bread, and a tin of baked beans for a unique culinary experience, Industrial Revolution style. It's all about packing 2 centuries of British brilliance into one boat. The boat that Guy built. The boys are in the Midlands, and Maeve has been working hard on the latest improvement to Reckless, a kitchen.
She's coming on treat, boss.
Aye.
Hey?
It'll soon be worth living in, won't it, the old girl?
Tell you what, yeah, looking the part, isn't it?
Aye, give us a lift on this worktop.
All right. I'm impressed, though. Yeah.
We'll get there, we'll get there. Are you off to put kettle on?
That's where I'm going.
Good man.
Get the brew on.
Yes.
Peachy. Right.
The kitchen is going to be an essential part of Reckless,
You all right, boss?
About time.
Brew up.
because although the boys are settling nicely into narrowboat life, the food they're eating leaves a lot to be desired.
Have you had a look in there, Chief?
Of course I have.
See that tripe we're eating?
Yeah.
You're eating.
Well, yeah.
Not good for my diet,
Yeah, but
that.
we haven't had out decent to eat. What are we
Chief,
going to do?
Well, I've got a plan.
Go on.
English invention,
Yeah.
the tin can. And I want beans on toast.
Well, but
And we
that
need a-
means we'll be nearly self-sufficient if you can pull this off. Ooh. We're getting quite domesticated,
Tell you
boy.
what, Chief, we're getting there, aren't we? Do
We're going to get laughed at.
you reckon?
Oh, aye.
Get laughed at. Whatever way,
Whatever.
Chief.
The boys want a proper wholesome meal of beans on toast, which means baking bread, then finding a way to toast it. First, though, Guy needs to make a tin can to store his baked beans in. He heads to Cannock in Staffordshire to find out how tin cans revolutionised food production by giving things a shelf life. Gameson's tinners have been using the same techniques to make tin plate for nearly 200 years.
All right, lads. How's it going? You all right? So go on, I just need a few bits tinning for me tin can. I've got to have my goggles on, I reckon.
Yeah.
Where do I start?
The basis of Guy's 19th century tin is an extremely thin piece of wrought iron, which he needs to prepare with acid and a chemical cleaner called a flux, so that it will properly bond with molten tin.
It comes out of the acid,
Over in there.
into the cold water to
Cold
swell the
water.
acid off, yeah.
Yeah.
Then into the
And then
flux.
in the flux.
Yeah. Then you just put it on there.
So there. And I'm going into this fella.
Inside this vat is tin heated to 300 degrees. Once it covers the iron plate, it will make the iron corrosion-proof and perfect for preserving food and Guy's beans.
If you see it spitting, just lift it back out.
How much a tin have we got in there?
About 3.5 ton.
3.5 ton. It's not cheap stuff, is it?
No.
Well, what sort of money's worth in there then?
Oh, there's 50,000 there.
50,000 quid.
Then just drop it in the acid swill,
Yeah?
and that's done.
Look at that. Like a new one.
That's the best one yet.
Innit? We'll
Yeah.
finish that.
That's the best one yet.
Hey? Good job.
So far, so good. Guy has made his tin plate in exactly the same way as they did in the Industrial Revolution. Now, tin historian John Nutting will help him make it into an actual tin can to store beans in.
So where do I start?
First of all, you need to put the lap on the end, the joint on the end. That's the first
Right.
thing. So it joins the two ends.
The biggest consumers of tin cans were the Navy, who loved being able to preserve food for long voyages. They kept a lot more than beans inside them.
They were cooking things like vegetables, carrots, veal, meat products, broth, anything that was nutritious as far as the sailors were concerned.
Get the
That's
calories into the
important.
sailors, yeah.
Precisely.
Right, so we'll have a go bending this. I don't think she's going to be an easy job, boy, I don't reckon.
Rolling by hand may look rudimentary, but it's a tried and trusted technique.
There we go.
What do you reckon?
19th century tins made exactly like this could keep their contents preserved way past the sell-by date, as proven when some provisions for an Arctic expedition were discovered years later.
They found the cans in the stores, some were opened up, and the food was in reasonably good condition even then, and that was 115 years later.
Would you have eaten it?
I would give it a try.
You would?
We'd taste it, wouldn't
Well, of course you would.
you? Give it a shot. Of
course you would.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah, like a new one.
Now the next step is to cut some more tin plate out in a circular form.
Yeah.
And then fold it over the ends.
It's slow work, and back then factories were only producing about 60 cans a day.
But I do like these. They're nice.
Today's factories can knock out about 2,000 a minute.
Right, John, so I've got my ends done. We need hole drilling now, do we?
Now you've got to cut a hole
Right.
in one of the ends so you've got enough space to put the beans inside first of all.
Right.
That's
We'll go find the sense of drill. Oh, aye.
that's perfect hole.
Grand job. That's not perfect, is it? It'd be a long shot.
You've got to remember that probably nobody's done it like this for the best part of 200 years. So
Do you reckon not?
that's working very well, I think.
You reckon?
With all the pieces made, Guy must solder them together.
When was a bean first put in a tin?
That was about 1880, or thereabouts. Ordinary people wouldn't have had this at first. So it was used for, it was like, you know, the sort of special foods that would have been used in the space shuttle. It was high technology in those days. And so it would take about another 20, 25 years before ordinary people could buy these sort of foods.
Well,
There you're done. OK, how about that?
look at that. The first tin.
That's not bad, is it? That was 1824 version, I think.
Yeah, I'll tell you
That
what.
looks as knobbly as yours does, doesn't it?
I reckon it does.
Yes.
Look at that. Peachy.
Marvellous. Well done.
Guy heads back to Reckless
All right, Chief.
to proudly show Maeve the fruits of his labours.
Now then,
Now then, Cocker.
what are you on with?
Chief, we have a bit of
What you got
success
there?
in the bean tin department.
Ooh, you've been busy, haven't you?
She's home brew, Chief.
I can tell.
Yeah.
That don't look like something I've just dragged off the shelf in a well-known supermarket chain,
No.
does it?
Definitely in, Chief,
No,
is it?
no.
Definitely in. But that's the size, that's the original.
Is that right?
1824. Well, that's when you started using it in expeditions, and that's what it was all about. That's what it was first developed for. Like the days of Captain Cook and all that. You've heard of Captain Cook, haven't you?
Of course I have.
They'd be taking the food on the boat with them, but, you know, they'd be taking cows and sheep, but alive.
Ready for slaughter when
Yeah,
they need
but
them.
they take the food to feed the cows and the sheep
Yeah,
with
yeah.
them. So they saved all that care for Chief.
Oh, yeah, well,
Didn't
would
it?
they?
Come on,
Go on then.
get cracking, Chief.
Now the boys have to fill the can with some baked beans in tomato sauce that they can eat later, using a homemade recipe of Maeve's that owes a lot to guesswork.
Hey, Chief, do you know what you're doing?
I'm making sauce for the beans.
Mate,
What's it look like?
You've got more on the worktop.
Well, I probably
than in the
will,
pan.
won't I? Not known for my gastronomic skills.
What are you doing, man?
You're
You're
not
not
gonna
going
come
to
out.
scrape it out with?
Get off. I'm in the kitchen, you're interrupting my creative flow.
Oh, what? It really do look like you know what you're doing. Hey, you. Look at that. You've done that before, haven't you, mate?
Oh, yes.
Anyway, Chief, you've lost me. What's happening here? What are
I'm
we
just
doing?
making a sauce.
So we've got a bit of what? Tomato puree?
Yeah. I just thought I'd put...
Mate, what are you doing?
I'm just putting a pinch of salt
Have
in
you
Chef.
pinched your salt?
Yes.
A pinch of salt?
When baked beans were first introduced to Britain, they were considered a fine delicacy.
Buongiorno.
How do?
Sold only in fancy grocers, Fortnam and Mason.
Probably one of them shops that you go to, but...
You what? I've heard of it, Mavis. I've heard of it, and no more than that. It's in that village, London village, I think, as far as I know.
Is that funny place downtown where
Yeah.
everything's dear? We've
But-
got to get them fellas in there. So I assume we're going to mix the two together and it'll go through the funnel. Oh, look at them beans going in there. You're going to give it a stir.
Mate, what are you doing?
Right, hold that in there, driver.
Chief, a bean's not going to go through there. We're going to get a bean through there. Oh, that noise doesn't fill me with confidence, mate.
Right, it's like standing behind the back of a horse, isn't it?
Mate.
I don't know what else to do.
Hey, yeah, you're getting somewhere now. Chief, what's that? Don't take any fingers. Like that.
Fine.
Bit of encouragement with your spatula. Come on. Still, no joke.
No, I'm doing
Maeve,
it.
Maeve.
Never has a tin been made with such love and devotion.
There was no other way of doing this.
Joe, I couldn't say it, could you? I mean, it's plain common sense to do it this way.
Of course it is.
To complete their historic canning process in the most authentic way possible, the boys first cooked the beans inside the can, killing any bacteria, Then they heat them further with just a small hole left in the lid so all the air escapes. If Guy's soldering is perfect, no oxygen will get in, and the beans will be preserved for a proper meal on Reckless at the end of the week.
What about that? That's not bad for a salad.
That'll do.
You all right?
Yeah,
happy?
In the meantime, there are plenty more jobs to be getting on with, not least making something to eat their beans with. And there's only one place to go for great British cutlery: Sheffield, the city of steel. One business that flourished here during the Industrial Revolution was William Yates. Guy's come to see David Wilkinson to learn how to make his own knives and forks.
All right, Dave. How's it going, boss?
All right, mate.
The first job is to carve a knife blade into a pre-forged length of steel. It's a product that can be traced back to 1751, when a man called Benjamin Huntsman invented a way of making really pure steel.
I mean, this is a fair sort of cutting-edge method of heating your steel to 1600 degrees. But that's where the secret came from, was the temperature. You could get it up to 1600 degrees, and this made separating your steel from the slag a lot quicker. So therefore, ending up with a better end result, a better steel, Sheffield steel.
Huntsman kept his new steel-making methods a secret.
That's not bad. That's a lot.
Bit more there.
Yeah.
Until, so they say, his main rival tricked them out of him.
This cheeky young scallywag called Walker went round to Benjamin Huntsman's steelworks to suss out what was going on. But not only that, he went round as a tramp pleading poverty, you know, and others says, oh, you can sleep in there, it's warm and what have you, and they let him sleep in the inside the steelworks. Anyway, what did he do? Had a look round, he could see what was going on with the whole 1600 degrees method, the whole separating the steel from the slag method. Anyway, that was it. Once Walker got this idea in his head, that's it, he went away and did his own thing. But then, once the method was out, that was it. Whew, Sheffield was away with it.
Pressure at the bottom.
Yeah.
Just once at the top.
Sheffield soon became the European centre of steel production and was home to a staggering 97% of Britain's cutlers.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yep.
Cheers, boss. Right, so where to now?
With the knife blades shaped, Guy's got to make some handles as well.
It's all right, Keith. Where do we start?
Up to the stop, carefully. Right in.
I'm nearly on the production line, boy.
You're nearly a professional.
Come on, we're here now. We're here now, go on.
Now he must stick the blades into the handles.
That's it.
First, Guy has to drill a hole in the centre.
I like your leather thing. Look at that, that's in some action, isn't it? Hey.
Yeah, it's older than me.
Right.
Fantastic.
Then he has to force the blade into the opening.
Has it gone all the way to the top? That's it, Guy. Check it out.
Oh, yeah, job done. Impressed with that. That definitely ain't going to come off in a breeze, that, is
No
it?
way.
Then it's a nice bit of buffing. And a further bit of polishing before a final sharpen. But that's not enough to shovel down beans on toast. It's over to the rest of the William Yates team to show Guy how to make a full set of utensils.
Give it just one almighty tug. There you go.
Look at that.
That's took the gate off.
And Guy won't be happy without a nice set of teaspoons too.
So I've nearly got a full set of cutlery then, and we're nearly laughing.
Well, not technically, because spoon isn't cutlery.
You what? A spoon's not cutlery?
The definition of cutlery is something that cuts.
So a knife's cutlery,
Like
but
a
a
nice
spoon and a
cutlery.
fork in cutlery.
They're not cutlery now.
And now he's got to shape his spoon on the fearsome fly press, which stamps down with 10 tons of force.
Hey, look at that. It's a nice shape, that, isn't it?
It's not all brute force, this. It doesn't need 10 tons. It will do delicate stuff.
Go on, what would you use that for? What's that, like a necklace
It is
or
a
something?
necklace.
What you got real on there, Steve?
It's the full load sprayer.
Oh, heck. Who's made the die for that, then?
It was a chap called Edwin Pryor in the 30s. We just fetch you the die. Now, that's the die that we use, and it was handmade, hand-cut.
Even though Guy's cutlery is finished, the job isn't over. Each and every knife, fork and spoon made here must pass the exacting standards of Anne in quality control.
Right, I've had a busy day today.
Oh, yeah.
Got all my eating implements ready.
All right.
Can you give me your opinion on them, please? And be honest.
I will.
If any item has even the tiniest flaw, it'll be rejected.
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
Happy
Yeah,
enough?
I am, yeah.
Do you reckon a bit of etching, you reckon?
Yep.
Right.
Finish him off,
How
that.
do I do that?
Come over here.
Right.
And the final touch is
That's it. Take it off.
the mark of Sheffield steel.
Stainless Sheffield, England.
Next on Guy's agenda is the second most important ingredient of beans on toast. Toast. Bread used to be toasted simply by holding it over a fire.
We need a proper electric toaster, don't we? We're going to have to get on the case.
Toasters, toasty makers, microwaves. In fact, none of the appliances we take for granted would exist were it not for the greatest discovery of the 19th century: electricity.
Up until then, it was just like a bit of a party trick, I suppose. People would sit and watch the thundering sky and see the lightning come down, and people would think that was fantastic. But no one besides Faraday could say, oh my God, you know, we could make something of this.
Michael Faraday, a poor blacksmith's son from Surrey, started off as a bookbinder's apprentice.
One of his customers got him a ticket to go to a Humphrey Davy lecture. Humphrey Davy was like a well-established scientist of the day. And yeah, that flicked the switch in Michael Faraday, the 14-year-old lad. That flicked the switch inside him. Then Faraday knew he wanted to devote his whole life to the science, really. He knew the best way to do that was to get in with Humphrey Davy.
Humphrey Davy gave Faraday a job as a lab assistant at the prestigious Royal Institution, and before long he was conducting his own experiments, including making a machine to convert movement into electricity.
While he was at the Royal Institute, he invented the Faraday spinning disc, which was a way, yeah, of creating electricity. Fantastic. I reckon we should make one, Chief.
What?
These Faraday discs.
All right.
We're gonna have a go. Pull her in, Chief. We'll get cracking.
Guy gets a few essential Faraday disc ingredients delivered and leaves the rest to Maeve's carpentry skills.
Magnet either side.
Yep.
We'll spin this. We'll get a bit of electric.
Electricity.
Electricity. Go, say that again.
Electricity.
Electricity.
Faraday had discovered a phenomenon in physics. Moving a magnet near a metal wire produced a pulse of electricity. Now he wanted to produce a steady current of electricity which could be used to power machines.
Does that go in there, driver? If you just tap them home gently, like torquing a cylinder head down, Chief.
Faraday rotated a copper disc between two magnets. Although it was inefficient and only produced tiny voltages, it proved the theory that you could generate electricity.
Yeah?
Roll with it, baby. Look at that.
Look at that.
She's a beauty.
It's working. 6.2 millivolts of raw power.
Go on, we're going to get to 10
Go on then.
millivolts, and we
Right.
aren't giving in until we've got to 10 millivolts.
Right, you had 7 point something.
The quicker you spin the disc, the more electricity you make.
Come on.
7.6, 8 points, 9 point, 9.4.
Oh, I ain't giving in, Chief. We're having it.
9.4 then.
9.4, right.
Why, we've got it.
Yes! That's all right.
Robbery.
5. Yes!
It may only have produced millivolts, but within the century, Faraday's hand-cranked disc evolved into massive steam-driven generators that powered the nation. We really can thank Faraday for switching on the toaster and all our other appliances.
That is the first dynamo. What Faraday did, he's the man, isn't he?
He's the
Check
one.
him out.
Enjoy it.
Inspired by generating their own electricity, Maeve makes it his job to find an old electric toaster to help make their meal of beans on toast. Guy's final job is to visit a traditional bakery and sort the bread.
We've got to dress you up a bit smarter than that for making bread.
What's wrong
I'm
with me?
afraid. So I think we should start with washing your hands.
Look, you'll not get foot and mouth off them, Colin.
No, I don't know about that.
Colin Lomax has been a baker at Hovis for over 35 years.
When in Rome.
Let's have a look. Turn them over. They'll do.
And he knows all about Britain's contribution to baking history,
Does your mum get you ready in the morning?
with the invention of wheat germ bread.
Give me one, get me ready.
Wheat contains about 85% white flour, about 12.5% bran, and this wonderful magical stuff called wheat germ, which is really good for you.
In the late 1800s, wheat germ was steam roasted to make a healthier flour on a massive scale. The only other things you had to add to make bread were water and yeast.
Oh, I thought yeast was always like a powder.
No, this is a traditional baker's yeast, and it really has to
It's
be
just
looked
like
after.
last,
Yeah,
is it?
yeah.
You see that?
Yeah. It's one of the most important raw materials. You can't make bread without yeast.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a living organism. But if you taste it, it's a really lovely flavour. That lovely yeasty flavour. It's said to be good, really good for you.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I'll have some more then.
And it's got to be treated extremely gently. It doesn't like extremes of heat. You can kill it with hot water. You can freeze it and you can kill it. And it doesn't like extremes of... We put a bit of salt on there.
It's not going to start swearing at us, is it, if we do
It
that?
might do.
We
Just
can
put a
offend
bit
yeast
more.
quite easily, can
And
we?
then just rub it in.
Well, let me have a go at this.
Right. Can you see what happens?
Hey, up. You see that?
Yeah. So it doesn't like that at all. So you're probably eventually killing it.
Also, it's
So
screaming
when
at
we-
us there, is it?
So when we make bread,
It doesn't
we have to be extremely careful.
Not to offend the yeast.
In essence, bread making hasn't changed much since the ancient Egyptians and Romans.
So we've got the flour. I want you to make a bay.
Just mix the ingredients,
So now we've got the yeast.
leave them to naturally rise, then bake them. But like so many processes, bread making underwent significant changes during the Industrial Revolution.
You're doing very well. This is the first time you've done that.
Well,
You're doing
I
very
could-
well.
My culinary skills go about as far as opening a tin of beans and putting my toast in the toaster and applying a bit of butter, and that's it.
In the 19th century, Britain became much more conscious of health and nutrition.
Push the dough against the table. So you're creating a bit of a mixing action.
We may have been making advances in science and medical technology, but the cramped and smoggy industrial towns did nothing for people's well-being. Hovis founder Richard Smith was convinced his new type of wheat germ bread would provide a much-needed health boost.
Yours is looking a little bit more presentable than mine.
But putting quite a bit of your strength into that
Right.
to really develop the dough into a nice, smooth consistency.
Smith went all out to prove his bread was good for you, even getting doctors to endorse his products.
Wonderful. So put that down there.
The marketing worked. Soon his bread was being snapped up by the health-conscious Victorians.
That's really good. What we've got to do now is get them into the prover. Fine, I'll put mine on the top tray.
The proving cabinet is where the bread is left to rise for 40 minutes. Enough time for a nice tea break before it goes into the oven.
Guy, you can see they've increased, almost doubled in size. And Chris is ready to peel into this really traditional deck oven.
It looks like it's come out of the ark. How old is it?
It's an old one.
The deck oven is the same as those Smith would have used, except these days it's fired by oil rather than coke or wood.
You'll see lots of bakers praying at the side of the oven
Is that right?
once the bread's gone in.
Time for another cup of tea, and then it's the moment of truth.
The bread's ready, Guy.
Why?
I'm going to ask Chris to peel them out for us. So you
Peel
stand
them out.
like.
That's the word, is it? There you go, Carl.
Thank you. And traditionally, when you bang it on the bottom, if it sounds
Well, let me have a
hollow,
go. Oh,
hear it,
yeah,
get a
does sound
lovely
hollow,
hollow
yeah.
sound.
Definitely.
you know that the bread's baked. So we've got a lovely loaf, nice shape, and that's ready for coming out of the oven.
He hasn't done too badly at all, except for that little one on the end.
Yeah, he's the black sheep of the family, that fella. Poor little bugger. Hey, could be worse, couldn't it?
Back on the boat,
Now then, young man.
Maeve has come up with the goods too, with a very old toaster indeed.
Hi, actually, if you've been busy, what have we got here?
Well, that right, is a replication of the first electric toaster called the Eclipse.
This grandfather of toasters was invented by the fabulously named Colonel Rooks Evelyn Bell Crompton, who also built one of the first ever power stations and set up a company making some of the earliest electrical appliances, a risky business in the first days of electricity.
A lot of his first electrical appliances used to actually catch fire because he used iron wires. See him?
Oh, aye.
I think we'll be all right, Chief.
We'll get our door stops in there, boy, won't we?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean,
Hey?
what do you reckon? A good inch?
And I reckon we'll get some good door stops out of them. Yeah, it's a replica of the original Hovis bread loaf, boy.
It's not that old, is it?
I've got some little baby ones, and I've got the full-size job.
And then, of course, there's the cutlery.
So here we go, we've got a forks.
Let me have a look at one of them, can I? Stainless steel, Sheffield, England.
Oh, heck, I could do with haircuts.
The boys finally have all the ingredients for a slap-up snack of beans on toast. As long as the beans have survived the week in their homemade can.
The whites.
Oh, you did a good job of that, didn't you, Chief?
Hey, yo, look at that.
The thing is, Chief, we're hungry. It's all desperate measures.
Do you want one slice apiece? I'll 2 slices.
2, boy.
I say, I am right looking forward to these beans on toast, boys. Hey, oh, young man.
Have a look at them.
Hey.
That is culinary excellence. Right, where's
Give me
the
the
pot?
pot.
Right, what you saying, Chief? I'm tipping these beans in
Hey,
here.
up, go on. Can you remember how much salt you put in them, Chief? That's the only thing that's worrying me a bit, really.
Why?
That was a lot of salt.
It's only a pinch.
Go for your life, boss. Go for your life.
Look
How
at
long
that.
do you
What do you
reckon,
reckon?
boss? You've done a job of that. I'm impressed. We've got serviettes, maybe. We've got serviettes.
Yeah,
Hey?
I've got one here, look. Look at this. You know when you get a bit round your mouth?
Oh, right.
My mother would kill me.
Oh, should be right. Keep an eye on them beans, boss.
The beans are looking good, but what about the volatile Crompton toaster?
1893, the old toaster. She hasn't set light to the toast yet, so she's not doing a bad job.
Well, you're not far away. She's smoking like an old chainsaw.
It seems to be working, even if Guy has to turn the toast by hand. And the posh cutlery is being put to good use, although probably not in the manner intended.
Oh, heck, Chief. A bit cremated.
have a look.
I'll have that one. I'll have that one. Right, come on. Yeah. Come on, right. Look at this young man. Hey, you looking forward to it?
Yeah.
Chomping at the bit.
Yeah, all right, all right.
All right, young man. How's it going?
Now, Chief,
Beans on toast. Come on.
this is the life, don't you reckon?
Are you ready? How are we doing it, Chief? Knives and fork. Come on, is that where we're going?
Yeah, and you have to eat it like a student, look.
Right, Chief, I'm going for a bit of a combination.
I don't
Just
care
try
what
and
you're going
lean
for, I'm hungry.
It's the moment of truth. Will Maeve's beans do justice to all that hard work and glorious British innovation?
Mate, they're bad.
I guess not.
You make me do it. Ah, man.
The beans
are rock hard. I reckon I can manage the rest. It's like eating gravel. The bread is absolutely fabulous.
El Fantastico. The cutlery.
Oh, they are something else, they are. They really are something else.
The tin can. Well, they've been in there a day or two.
Where is
and
it?
they wasn't rotten. And you managed to open it.
It looks like something that the fire brigade have had a go at.
It does. But Chief, it did its job. We can't knock it, can we, really?
No.
Right.
Go on.
The bean sauce. All right. It's not.
It could do with some more salt.
maybe a fraction. Chief, I would say that's a success. I'm a happy camper. And I'm going to finish him. Are you going to finish yours?
No.
Next, poor old Reckless picks up a few more bumps and bruises on her travels.
I do apologise.
It's high time for a makeover, complete with some 19th century interior decorating. Guy's hoping his steady hand and eye for detail will make Reckless into the pride of Britain's waterways.